I've been through so much, I don't wanna talk about it. If this beef chopper spark about it, think it's sweet till your heart pound it. Really street, keep a Glock round me. That AK2 burn 4-5.
All right, Yotta Talk, we're here with another episode. Today, it is a very special episode. We're switching it up. This is something you guys have never seen, something that I haven't even learned about until, thankfully, she messaged me and we were able to set this up. And so I'm very happy to introduce Wendy Parr. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on to the Yotta Talk platform and being able to share your story and all of the knowledge that you have.
I'm so excited to be here. You know, I work with Marv, and I saw him in pieces you were talking about. I'm like, first of all, I love Marv and his wisdom, and I love what you were doing and sharing. And I was like, oh, yes, I want to come talk to you.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. And I appreciate that. So I'd like to start a little bit just with your background. Very short. We're going to get into the details for sure, but just very short. What are some things that you've been a part of, and what do you do?
Okay, that's cool. So I started working as a professional artist when I was 8.
Okay.
Voiceovers, TV, musical theater. I was writing songs very young. They weren't really songs yet or good songs yet, but I was writing. I've always been a songwriter. And, just I've always known I'm a singer. Like, I'm here to use my voice. I want to do what the idols that I see doing, right?
Yeah.
Like I loved what I was seeing. I want to do that. I want to be that. And when I was 15, Motown had my demo, and a demo back then was a record. Like
Motown?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was an R&B singer when I was young.
Okay.
Everyone used to say, oh, okay, Tina Marie, new Tina Marie, because she was like the one Caucasian person that was like, doing the R&B thing. So everyone would be like, oh, okay, Tina. So I'm not an R&B singer. I've got a lot of soul, but like that's actually as I develop myself, right? I'm like, oh, I'm not R&B. Like that's, but I definitely have soul. I love gospel. I love call and response. And, Aretha, Stevie Wonder were strong influences. But I'm not an R&B singer, but it took me time to find that out, right? Because I was, I'm 15 and working with a producer, and they're like, oops. They're like, hey, let's go in this direction, that kind of thing. And that's an artist's job, 7 to 10 years to find your voice. Who am I? What is my sound?
7 to 10 years to find your voice. Mm-hmm. Let's take a pause right there. Mm-hmm. That just blew my mind. Hold on. Hey, talk a little bit
about that.
7 to 10 years. Like some of the artists that I know haven't even been making music for 7 years.
Sure. Yeah. And that doesn't mean don't start, right? That's the process of like first record, second record, EP, single, this experience, that experience. You've got to get on stage. You've got to get in front of a mic. Like working your voice in the studio is its own thing, right?
Okay.
Being on stage, everyone's generally told project, so you're doing this live thing and trying to be heard over a band or over the sound. And you cannot beat the amplification of everything else, right? Mm-hmm. But then you get in the studio and you got headphones on and you can be really soft and intimate, and like suddenly you're using your voice in another way. That's all part of it.
That's okay. That's a good picture.
Right?
That's a good way to put it.
And then it's you're writing by yourself. If you're producing yourself, there's a whole learning curve of learning the production side of things, mm-hmm. right? And then the different ways that you're treating your voice and making your sound, and then there's first we all imitate, like right. We're all just born like little ducks. We learn from other humans. We follow them. We learn to walk like them. And you imitate as an artist first, right? And then you're like, you start shedding or dropping the imitation, and you're pulling things you've learned from people very unconsciously, but you got to bring yourself out.
Putting your little twist on it.
That's right. So all of these things take time to shape. And then you've got to perform, you really do. You've got to perform in front of an audience to then get feedback, right? Like, oh, when I do that, like I'm getting response from that. When I do that, I don't get response from that. So you keep shifting, mm-hmm. Not to please the audience, but to learn what works. And you're learning.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
And that's a painter, that's a producer. Like everyone's got to take the time to find how am I putting my thing in this? How do I songwriting? I'm working with an artist. She came to me. She did Sound Chart with me, which is a program I have, a course to help you really find your sound. You will have a recipe on paper. It's on paper, but it's a recipe. Like these are all the ingredients I want in my music. Then you take it to the studio and start bringing it to life, right? So if you're like, ooh, there's dark, there's edgy, there's this. Well, okay, what's dark? Is it the vocal in this song? Is it the vocal overall? Or is it, no, I found this like synth thing that I love. That's generally the dark. Now where's the edgy, or where's the, right? Where's the girly? So that's
when you're working with the artist, you're working with them on every level of the song. It's not just songwriting. It's not just in studio. It's all of it.
So it depends on the artist. I do a lot of things, and then artists utilize me for different things.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Some people, I'm their vocal coach, and we do a lot of technique work, and I'm helping them just be healthy on tour. Some people want more of like the industry emotional guidance of like, how do I navigate this industry, strategy kind of stuff. Some people I'm songwriting with, or I'm vocal producing.
Okay.
Some people I do a combination of.
You do it all.
Right? So it's so many things that I do, and people just are like, I want that.
I want this one.
Yeah.
Pick this one.
Yeah. I just love empowering people. So I came up as an artist.
Okay.
And then my vocal coach, who was a very famous vocal coach, invited me to teach. And I was like, I don't know how to teach. What? I didn't know. But what I didn't know is like, it's in my blood. Like, I am a coach. Like, it is my archetype.
Naturally.
If you showed me how a car works, I'd be showing someone tomorrow. I'm like, let me pass on this information. Let me share,
Yeah.
And all the things I went through as an artist, it's what everyone goes through. So if I can help people, I help people avoid some of those pitfalls, not waste as much time. Like, let's get you through that 7 to 10 years a little faster or a little more focused. A lot of artists have a general sense of who they are, but when you get into those specifics, that's when you start getting, oh, that's my sound.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, I'm talking to labels and managers all the time. There are two main things that artists really struggle with. And when we talk about find your voice, like, it's the same for a painter, it's the same for a filmmaker, right? Like, you got to do a lot of the work to find how do I express myself, how I want to be heard and seen, and then get it to land.
Got to put in the groundwork.
But every artist has been told to be something they're not, right? Be it by a label or a coach or a mentor or by the public, like, oh, you should be more that. You should be more that. And then whatever else you had in your life, right? Culture.
Yeah.
Culturally, family, right? Oh, don't be like that. You shouldn't be. Or
certain insecurities and things of that
all of that
nature.
gets in there. So that's the first thing I really address with the artist is like, let's look at your belief system. What's helping you and what's not serving you, so we can let go of the stuff that's not serving you and move forward without it.
I love that.
That's the first thing we do before we start singing and training.
That's a good, really, advice just for life in general, not even just music.
100%.
Not even just let go of what's not helping you and let's move forward.
Right. But we also have to discover it because it's not conscious. Like, if you knew it wasn't serving you, you'd get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's Blueprint. That's my first session with every artist I have, one-on-one. It's the first course in the program, in the PAR method, right? Because that's where we start. Let's not take stuff with you that's going to stop you. Let's get rid of that shit. So there's that. And you asked me a question and I know I meandered.
No, it's okay. I actually have another question for you because I know that your techniques are proven. Can we talk about some of the people that you've worked with over the years?
Absolutely. Let's see. Regina Spektor, Sarah Bareilles, Soup, Jurassic 5, in the hip-hop world, Mark Basie, Melanie Martinez.
These big names doing out here.
I gotta think because I gotta think about it. Nancy Sinatra, who's like an icon. Ana Torroja, who's also like, she's the biggest singer out of Spain for a few decades, and she's still doing 2.5-hour shows.
2.5 hours?
Yeah, she sings the whole time, and her audience is like, I've never seen an audience with that particular reaction of just joy. She makes people so happy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Lee Hom Wang, he's like, again, huge artist in Asia. Like, he can't walk around Asia at all.
He's the Drake over there.
Yeah, Lei Zhang from China. I keep thinking, but
Yeah.
My Ella Vos coming up right now. She's so amazing. Upsal right now. Emmeline. Those are all people who are like busting out right now.
The list does not stop.
Blonde Shell, she's busting up right now. So hot, amazing. Again, talk about that journey of finding your voice.
And each one of these artists, you're doing specific things with them.
Yeah, it varies, but like some is like heavy on the vocal side. Others are, getting into Compass. Sometimes it's me hooking somebody up with a writer, a producer. I worked with Lynn of Paris, went on tour with the band Paris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What did you do or what projects have you worked on when it comes to, obviously, you got a plaque back here.
Yeah.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes.
Everybody knows what that is.
Yes.
You got to know what that is. And then I'm also interested in maybe what techniques you helped Regina and Mark with as well.
Oh, sure. Okay. Super cool. So Slumdog happened because I was making a record. Got super inspired, and I was making a record that's a Western record with Indian rhythms and instruments and sounds.
Okay.
I told my producer, I'm like, we have to go to India because it would be hypocritical to make this in New York. Like, we got to go to India.
Wow.
I've never been to India,
But you got to go.
I went to the Rahman concert and talked to the promoters. Was like, I'd really love to meet AR. And they're like, oh, sure. 10 minutes later, they give me a wristband. After the show, I'm led back. And not only did I meet him, but they kept introducing me.
What?
You met Wendy, right? Like the world was making sure this didn't miss, right?
Yeah.
At that date, we didn't have links. We had CDs. I hand him my CD and I'm like, this is a production I'm in the midst of. I really believe you're meant to work on it. I'd love to work with you. I'll be in India in 2 months, right?
Wow.
And he's like, okay. I didn't hear back from him right away, so I went on his website, sent an email. He emailed me right back and gave me his number. He's like, call me when you're in India.
Dang.
None of this was a given. Like, I took all risks, right? Like,
For sure.
Like, I went to India knowing 3 people. When I say knowing, I mean I met them once. A.R. Rahman, who's the biggest, it's like Quincy Jones, the biggest producer in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Shabana Azmi, who's like Helen Mirren, or Angela Bassett, like this huge actress who's been in cinema. And her husband, who I met again once, and Jasvinder, he was the musician in their show. I met them all once, and these are like, it's like, oh, I'm going to go to New York and, I'm going to go to LA and call up Quincy. Like
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, exactly. But I have their numbers. They said to call, but I know, like, I'm on a mission. Like, I'm on a mission, and I'm taking risks. I went by myself to India, landed at 3:30 in the morning, and went to this hotel I had found online, right? Hotel was a little sketch.
Sounds sketch already.
It was sketch. So the next day I was like, I'm finding another place to stay. Okay. I reached out to A.R. Rahman. We had a meeting in India, and he wanted me to work with him on his conservatory to teach voice. And I was like, and I got a record. And he's like, the album is sitting on my desk, but I haven't heard it. It's in my studio. Do you want to take a ride with me? And I'm going to go work on some music. I'm like, of course. So what, like, oh no, I have plans today. Yes, let's go. I'm in.
I'm in India. What do you think
This is what I'm here for. So we get in the car. He's listening to the music. One of the songs was a cover of one of his songs.
Okay.
So he listens and he's like, so I'm working on a project right now. You want to come write for it? Yeah. All right. And then we go in the studio and he's got me writing. He gives me 2 tracks and he gives me an idea and go. His idea was make it epic. I'm like, what is that? But this was me just saying, I'm here for something and I'm just going to take chances and take chances and take chances. Huge risks, right? You got a phone now where you can literally just DM somebody. I'm sitting here because I DM'd you.
Yeah.
Right? You can, and I'm not saying harass people, right? But you can reach out. You can make connections. I flew around the world, right, to do this. I brought my producer around the world.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's all from me just going, I have a passion. I have this idea in my head, this vision, and I'm going to see it through.
Yeah.
And you've got to take risks, and you've got to get so uncomfortable to do that.
For sure.
You
were in a sketchy hotel in India hoping that you met with the Quincy Jones of India.
And then I did.
And you did, yeah. Let me not say hope. You did meet with.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like when you pursue something, just there's so many things that could happen along the way.
Yeah.
Say yes. If you like the people, you like the gig, you're going to learn, you're going to be like out of your comfort zone, you're going to be challenged. Say yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, because I met amazing people. I had beautiful experiences. Say no if it, like, again, doesn't match your, not that it doesn't match your end game. Because sometimes I see artists say, no, I want to be the solo artist. And so they say no to like being a sideman on this band or this being a background singer on that or collaborating here. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. You have to trust your gut. You just got to check yourself sometimes that it's not your ego going, no, I can only do that thing.
Yeah.
Because on the road to that could be this and this and this, right? And sometimes it's a no, but I think a lot more often it's a yes when people say no to it. It's like, that was an opportunity. You know?
Exactly.
So Slumdog happened. I said yes to go hang out with my friends because I'm like, yeah, you know. But what I've learned is like when there's an event, for example, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go. I so don't want to go. When I feel that resistance,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, go. You're
Gotta
gonna
go.
meet someone. Something good's gonna come of it. You gotta go. I've learned that whenever I feel that I'm not in the mood,
Yeah.
it means that something special
agree.
is gonna happen.
Yeah, I can agree.
Yeah.
That's happened to me as well.
Yeah. Not the same as like, oh, I'm tired, I'm sick, let me push myself. That's different. But the that particular resistance, I'm like, I know now that that's the indicator. Oh no, something cool's gonna happen. I'm meeting a good person. Let's go. So I went to the music event. I see Sammy and I'm like, hey, AR's here? Because he doesn't live in Bombay. He's like, yeah, he's in the studio. So I walk back into the studio and open the door and he's sitting there. I'm like, what a surprise. And he looks at me, he's like, what a surprise.
Okay.
At 2:30 in the morning, everyone's gone to bed. He's going in this room to write on the film project he's with. He pulls up a track and he's like, I need lyrics for this. They're waiting for the soundtrack. It's not finished. The movie's done and they're waiting for the soundtrack. I need lyrics for this song. And he just hands me a pad of paper. I'm like, cool. What's it about? What are the characters? And he gives me a little bit of direction. Like, this is the story. I would like stanzas. And he's like, if you can keep the title Dreams on Fire, I like it. If you can't, I understand. I'm like, oh, if he can keep it, I will. He wants it. So that's 2:30 in the morning. He hands me the piece of paper. I wrote about 3 pages of stanzas. I show him that, and he looks on the 3rd page. He's like, that one. Make that the first line of the song. I like that. I like that one, and then put whatever else you want in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he trusted you.
Yeah. But always he liked, and I learned this from him, first line of the song. He would look at everything and be like, that's the first line of the song. Most important. I learned a lot writing with him, for sure, working with him.
Don't miss on that. Don't miss that right there. Don't miss that. He would look at all the stanzas that was written and pick one for the first line of the song and then say, you go ahead, take it to us.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So and the opening stanza, actually, the singer who was there, she already knew the song and the melody. So AR writes melody and composition, and I'm writing lyrics in English, which is how a lot of it happens in India. There's like poets and composers. Very few do both. And so there I was asked to write English lyrics. Like that was my primary thing in writing. Whereas like here I'm doing lyric and melody. If I'm writing alone, I do everything.
Yeah, doing a lot more.
Right. And that was a really interesting puzzle for me because I couldn't change a melody. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay, how do I write, lyrics to go exactly with that melody? And I can't change anything.
That's crazy to think about.
Ooh, my head was hot. Like I would just be like, right? But it was a great
That's literally
exercise.
a music puzzle.
Yes. And a fabulous exercise, and I had never done it. So I was like, oh, okay, this is hard. This is a new challenge. And it's fun. Like, and there's a melody. Is it one word that has those 4 notes giving it a run?
Yeah.
Or is it separate words? Where is it changing?
That's got to open up like a new part of your brain. It has to.
Yeah, really fun to do that. So 2:30 in the morning, hands me the piece of paper. 5:30 in the morning, I had produced the vocals, and the song was done. 2 weeks later, he calls me and says, Danny Boyle loves the song. It's going in the film, except the first stanza. So I have to clarify something. So first of all, I'm like, wait, Danny Boyle? I love Danny Boyle. What?
Yeah.
I didn't know this was a Danny Boyle film. I was like, I thought it was a Bollywood film. He's like, yeah, this is international. I'm like, okay, amazing. And originally, the singer of the song liked the first stanza that had been written before, and I didn't. It wasn't mine, and I wasn't a big fan of it. But Danny Boyle heard the song and said, I just don't like the first stanza. Can you change it? As a songwriter, this was incredibly validating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've actually never said this before. And this is not to like speak badly of the other writer.
Whoever had written. No, of course
not at all. It's just that the voice was different, and he heard that.
Yeah, and for you, it's like, okay, yeah, I killed that.
Yeah. I was like, he recognized that's not the same writing, that's not the same voice, and he wants that other voice in there. I was like,
exactly.
That was very validating as a writer. And I said to AR, I said, I didn't write the first stanza. He's like, I know. You put in whichever one you want. Right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but again, what's that first line of the song, right? So I'm like,
Yep.
What stanzas he loved, that needs to be the first line of the song. What needs to be the first one? So so we just went back. We finished the song. We put that one in, and about a month later, I flew back to the States and got off a plane, and I went to the movies, and I watched Slumdog.
And the rest was history.
Yeah. My part lyrically is not in the song because actually the film was already out. So sad.
Okay. But it's on the soundtrack.
It's on the soundtrack, yeah. Financially, a bummer because being in the film would have been another story.
Yeah.
And also just to have the whole song. But the movie came out and then the soundtrack followed. And
give the audience the title. What's the title? Check this out.
Dreams on Fire.
So you kept the title. You were able to keep it.
I kept the title for him, yeah. And the other writer got a cut for that.
Really?
Yep, because that was his title.
That was his title.
Yeah.
Okay.
And respect.
That's a little game on how the music business works for songwriters as well.
And respect for AR for doing that, and I had no problem. He's like, he likes the title, I'm keeping it. The other writer had spent time in this, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Because we all win together.
Yeah, for sure. It's a team effort either way.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the only ballad. That's really it's the love song. It's the love story theme that goes out, that melody.
Okay.
And so this is the only ballad in English on the soundtrack.
Gotta check that out.
Yeah.
I gotta play that.
Yeah.
I gotta play that. I'm gonna make that the intro or the outro to this one. Dreams on Fire.
Dreams on Fire.
That's super cool.
So talking about risk taking, talking about like getting a wild idea and then going for it. So I sang with Patti Labelle on stage. About, I think I did it 4 times.
Patti Labelle?
Yes. So remember,
the Patti Labelle?
Miss Patti. I love Patti Labelle. She was one of my heroes, like my singing heroes. And back then I was doing R&B, right?
Yeah.
So I love Patti. And I went to a show. So my first show ever was Prince. And my second was David Bowie, Luther Vandross later. I used to go to church down on Crenshaw and see Stevie Wonder in front of me singing.
What?
Yeah, Stevie heard me sing one time, and it was funny because
the names you are throwing out is ridiculous.
I mean, Denise Williams used to get up and sing. Like I was very blessed to hear them live. Stevie Wonder, Prince live, unbelievable, like the best. So Patti was one of my heroes. So I went to a concert, and what I saw was a thing she does is like people, like men, would pilgrimage up to the stage and like give her gifts and just throw things on stage and give her teddy bears and flowers and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So I went to see her and I took her flowers. And at this point, there's like 10 men on stage all dancing with her, and I brought flowers. And she looks at me and she goes, "Can you rap?" And I was like, "No, Patti, but I can sing." She's like, and she turns around and then she turns back to me. She goes, "You can sing?" I was like, "I can sing." "You swear to God you can sing?" "I can sing, Patti." "Okay, come on up."
Just like that?
Just like that. And I went determined to get on stage with her.
Just like that?
Just like that. So she brings me on stage. I'm the only female on stage.
I'm taking a lot more risks.
Yes, exactly. Hey, as long as you're not in danger, and I've been in danger. Actually, I've been in dangerous situations, but my naivete like saved me.
Yeah, church on Crenshaw watching Stevie Wonder,
Yeah, exactly. Like it saved me. Like I used to go to church in Harlem, which back then this was New York in the late 80s.
Ooh, Harlem in the late 80s.
Yes, this is very dangerous. And
my God.
Again, this little white girl is just walking through. People are just staring at me, and I'm like,
what are you doing over there?
Yeah, it's true. But I was like, I'm just going to church, going to hear gospel music, singing. My innocence saved me. Like,
yeah.
I was in some situations that definitely I could have been in trouble, but my innocence saved me, and I was there for like goodness. Like I was there for good reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
And I literally heard people be like, "Oh, she's green. Don't worry about her." I did Showtime at the Apollo. Slick Rick was performing. I love Slick Rick.
You seen Slick Rick perform?
Yeah, I did Showtime at the Apollo back. You can, that one's on YouTube. My friends were like, you have to put that on YouTube.
You did? You did Showtime at the Apollo?
Mm-hmm. I told you I was an R&B singer. Then that was a lesson to learn.
What in the world?
So this is a good lesson for everybody here. So I was like 16, 17 when I did that. And, you know, you go and audition for the show, and then they pull you to audition for the TV show.
Yeah.
So the woman said, I want you on the show. Come audition for the TV show. And she suggested to me that I do Tracks of My Tears. She's like, why don't we change your song up? You should do like something like this one. And I was doing Stephanie Mills, If I Were Your Woman. And I did that song because I knew it. Like, I knew it in my bones. I knew it, which is a good thing. Like, you should know your material really well.
Yeah.
But what I learned from that was when I went on stage and I sang that song, first it started with people booing me. And by the end, people were applauding.
It's the Apollo.
It's the Apollo. Yeah, yeah. Who's this girl? Get her off
Who
there.
are you?
Yeah. But by the end, people were standing up and applauding me, and I worked hard for that. Like, I
fought through it the whole way.
I fought it. Yes, I worked hard. And what I realized later was, oh, that woman who knows her show and knows her audience told me you should do this kind of song because it's the song that wins the audience. And the Tracks of My Tears is more popular. It's upbeat. They would have like loved me already for the choice of song. Whereas the Stephanie Mills song, which is a ballad and it takes me a minute to get to the big, riffs and the money notes. I was like, oh, she was right. I should have listened to her.
Yeah.
But I would have had to learn a new song and get it in my bones.
Tracks on My Tears.
Do the work.
Am I incorrect in saying that's Smokey
Tracks on My
Robinson?
Smokey Robinson.
That is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You sang that one at 17.
I did a Stephanie Mills song. I did If I Were Your Woman. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then that's
No,
why
she was saying
that's
she
why
was
she
saying
was telling
do the
you
other one
because that was going to easily win over.
Yeah.
But you had to fight the whole performance because you did the Stephanie Mills.
That's right.
But it probably worked in your favor, like you said, because you knew your material.
Yes.
You knew
But
your
again,
material.
if I had listened to her and then did the work to know that material better, or picked a different song, like if I had even asked the question, why are you saying that song?
Yeah.
She could have said, well, the audience is going to love it. Then I could have said, oh, well, what about this song? Or this Stevie Wonder song I know. Or this Aretha song I know. She would have been like, yeah, that. Right? But I didn't know to ask.
You didn't ask the question.
I didn't know. I was really young.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I'm 17.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to do what I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
You got to get uncomfortable.
That's where you succeed, like you were saying.
Yeah. So I did that one. And with Patti, same. I wanted to get on stage with her. And so I got on stage and she gives me a hug and she whispers in my ear, can you really sing? I was like, do you swear to God you can sing? I was like, I swear to God I can sing, Patti. She goes, okay. And she sings, oh, feels like another one. And she sticks the mic in my face. And I said, oh, feels like another one. And she said, girl, you can't sing. She hands me the mic.
Patti LaBelle handed you the mic?
Yes. And she said, go, take it. And I finished out the song to the audience performing while she was jamming and dancing with the crowd.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's a once in a lifetime mix. Well, I guess for you it was 3.
Yeah.
You
But
did
it
three
is a
times.
once in a lifetime. It's
That's
like,
once in a.
Yeah.
She pulls you right up on stage. It's so loud. She hugs you. Can you really sing?
she's
You
one
better
of
be able to sing.
That's right. You better be able to pull this off, girl. And so I did that, and I played to the audience. I just sang the rest of the song because again I knew that song.
Yeah.
Right? She asked me if I could rap because Big Daddy Kane has a rap in that song.
On that verse.
So she wanted me to rap, and I was like,
Okay.
but I could sing. And after the show, they ended up pulling me off backstage. And again, this is where I tell you I'm green, right? I'm still like that 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid, something like that. And they pulled me backstage, and she's, oh my gosh, so nice. She's wearing like Mickey Mouse t-shirt and fuzzy slippers. And she's chilling till the next show, which is at 10. And she's like, girl, can you sing that Aretha song? Can you sing Ain't No Way? I'm like, yeah. So I'm backstage singing for Patti. Yeah. My hero, just singing for her. We're hanging.
At 20. Oh.
Yeah. 19, 20, something like that.
What?
And then she says, hey, can we do that for the next show? Can we have her stay? And we'll just pull it off like I don't know you. Now, this is where I'm really green. I was like, oh, but I drove. I got to take my friends home.
No way you.
How foolish was that?
Like, well, my friends are friends are out there.
Yeah, I'm not crying. I'm laughing so hard because I look back and go, oh, Wendy, you had so much to learn. But now realize there was no Uber back then.
Yeah.
I'm in Anaheim, so I'm like 45 minutes, an hour from home. And I'm a kid, so it's not like I'm like, oh, put it on the credit card, you know, like, get whatever. But again, later or at this point in my life, in that situation, I would have been like, I'll hitchhike home. I'll get on the bus with you. We'll figure it out. Yeah, exactly.
My friends can take the car. Where are we going?
That's right. That's right. Today, I would know that, but then
that
I
is
did
insane.
it. Isn't that funny?
That's insane.
But I'm not an idiot. She was on tour. So I bought a ticket to the next show in San Diego.
You're like, I'm taking another shot at this.
That's right. I was like, I'm going. So I went. Didn't matter where I sat because I knew I was going to walk to the front of the stage. But I got a good seat, and I brought an album for her to sign, like a Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. I had lots of her records. That was like early records. That's like from the 60s, and her makeup artist was sitting and saw me. She's like, oh. She's like, I'll tell Patti you're here. So she went backstage, and so then she was calling people on stage, and I went to the front. She brought me up, and she's like, okay, let's do it, you know. And I sang to the whole theater in San Diego. And I had a blast. And
so she recognized you and everything.
Yeah.
That what? You and Patti LaBelle were locked in.
Yeah, and of course, at this point, like I have a demo, and I was pursuing for to her husband or her to manage me, to work with me. Like I'm pursuing that, and that didn't happen. But it led me to again, I took that risk. I loved being on stage. That taught me a lot of stuff. It didn't happen with Patti, but that's okay.
That's an experience that cannot be recreated.
You can't buy that, right? Like
that's unbelievable. I mean, it's believable. I know you did it.
I did it. And then years later, like 7 years later, I think I was like 27 at the time. I'm getting in the car and I just hear the end of a commercial. Patti LaBelle at Universal Amphitheater with whatever the date, August 8th, that. And I heard the commercial and I went, should I? Now, mind you, I'm going to teach you another little thing about this. I love Patti. One of Patti LaBelle's songs became my unicorn song. Like, I auditioned for an all-black musical, and they look up from the table and they're like, this is a black musical? I was like, yeah, can I audition? They're like, okay, sing. I sang, and they're like, can you start on Monday? And I sang a Patti LaBelle song, If Only You Knew. That was my audition for everything. I didn't care what the style I was like. I sang that for musical theater. I sang that for R&B. That was my unicorn song. I got callbacks. I got cast singing that song.
Bread and butter.
That's right. So, and that's really a valuable thing. Is like you should have, more than one song, but you got to find that song that is so you nail it. And that particular song is If Only You Knew How Much I Love You. So what am I telling everyone behind a desk every time I audition for something, sing for them, have an audience? I'm telling them, if you only knew how much I love you. I love you. I love you. Do you know how much I love you? They were like, I like this girl.
I like this one.
Yeah. So that's important. Like, is it like your message, what you have to say, and find that thing that's like, that's mine.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I heard that commercial and I said, yeah, I'm going to do it again. So I went to Universal Amphitheater in LA, which is like about 6,000 seats. And at this point, they had put up gates around the front, so you couldn't just walk up to the stage anymore. Oh, okay. And I was like, I'm going to have to get her attention. And again, I bought cheap seats because I'm like, doesn't matter. I've got flowers.
I'm going to
walk to the front. I studied her album, the latest album she was on tour with. I studied it. Like, let me know those songs. But I also knew I'm going to sing If Only I Knew to whatever they're playing. Like, I'm going to go do this thing. Now, some of it was like I rehearsed, I planned, but then I was also spontaneous with what happened. Right?
Yeah.
But I studied. I was like, well, in the show, she tends to call people up around here, so I'll be ready around the 9th song or whatever, So I did my homework. It's funny too, because as I'm telling you the story, like I'm remembering it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did my homework. I was doing my homework. So she's calling. She's like, I want 3 people who can rap, who can do something. So she's calling up 3 people instead of a crowd. And she had one person up, and she got another person up, and she's center stage facing out. I'm on side stage, and I'm like, I got to get her attention because I can't get to the front for her to see me. Now, mind you, this is also 7 years later. Do I know she's going to recognize me?
Yeah.
Nah. So I'm off the side of stage, and I said, ah. And she's like, oh, someone's being cute. someone's being cute over here. She comes walking over to the side of the stage. Oh, little white girl, you're being cute. She's like, can you sing? I was like, I can sing. Do you swear to God you can sing? I was like, I can sing, Patti. She's like, all right, come on up. And the crowd goes nuts. And I have to walk all the way around the crowd to get to the stage entrance over here, the steps.
Yeah.
So the whole crowd's going crazy that like this little girl's like, walking, and I look young. And so I get to the stage and her pianist and her MD see me and they recognize me and they're like, what's up? They're like, hey. And Patti, I give Patti a hug and I was like, Patti, it's me, Wendy. And she pulls back, she goes, Wendy, okay.
What? That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
That is insane. Patti LaBelle.
I know. Miss Patti.
One and only.
When I tell you, like, today, I'm tearing up, like, my heart for Patti LaBelle, because she's one of my idols,
Yeah.
Artists, singing.
A lot of people. Oh, my
for
gosh.
sure. She's worthy.
Yeah, yeah.
When I saw her perform, she was losing her voice, and then she started to sing a song that was for her sister, and her voice came back, and she did not end the show on time. She just kept going, and she's improvising, and I mean her heart is out here when she's singing.
Yeah.
She is giving it to you, and I learned that from her. Like you let us in, you sweat for it, you give it.
She let you on stage.
She let me on stage. She actually told me, she said, I've never brought a woman on stage, but something told me to bring you up. Only men. I only bring men up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and she did it again. She did again. That's a generous person.
7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later. So this time, this person does something, sings. This person sings, and then I'm the last. And I started singing. They were vamping music, and I started singing. If only you knew how much we do love you. Everybody say Patti, Patti, Patti. So I got the audience chanting her name, and then she's on stage right, and I'm on stage left, and they're playing the song, and she and I just started trading licks.
What?
Yeah, we're just riffing, and she's running, I do a run, and we're back and forth. I mean, again, as a person, as an artist, like, that was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that.
And my
I can't
career.
even imagine.
Yeah, I know. Now, my career, like, I love being on that stage, and that's not where my career went. Like, I turned into being a coach, and I love coaching. Like, I was very clear. I was putting energy into coaching and not putting myself on tour. I was like, you love this. But, and so, in some ways, you'd be like, oh, I stopped, right? Yeah, but I stopped to help other people.
Yeah.
I stopped and I created something else. But that moment, like, it was a beautiful moment. And that's the same, like, with Slumdog. Like, you never know what that destination will be. And the award is, like, this opened doors for me. It's
For
credibility.
sure.
It's fantastic. But it's the experience itself that brings me to tears. Like, I haven't told this Patti LaBelle story, I don't even know in a long time.
Yeah.
And social media's got me starting to share stuff like this more, right?
No, I'm so glad you shared that. Are you serious? The Patti LaBelle?
Yeah.
And you were sitting right in front of Stevie Wonder in the church in Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I'm still tripping on that. I don't know. There's
Like
so much you just put in this.
Like, I'm tearing up because I'm like, that moment, like, in my, like, I got goosebumps just feeling it again.
Yeah.
Because it was magical. And I took risks to make it happen. I did work to make it happen. It was God and the universe making it happen. I invested to make it happen. But again, like, in the end, I'm sitting here, and that was part of my journey here,
Exactly.
100%. But it's the experience. It's the experience of writing Dreams on Fire at 2:30 in the morning. That's what is memorable. This is cool, right? I mean, obviously, I'm not dissing it. It's cool, but it's like, that's not what gives me feeling. That paper doesn't give me feeling.
Yeah.
The people I worked with, the experience I had, Patti's generosity, like singing with her for a moment, like. And I have that with artists that I work with when they're telling me stories. Like, I'll tear up for them, just going, oh my gosh, like, you sang with Paul Simon, and like, that's because you're fantastic. What a beauty. I know, like, everybody knows when, you know it right now. Like, everyone listening right now, you know something that you worked for, a mountain you climbed, and you know the blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice it took.
For sure.
And that's, I don't think anyone needs to be a starving artist. But everyone, we're all climbing mountains, and then you're going to climb another one. So you have that experience over and over, and that's the power that, like, gives you confidence. That's the stuff that, like, this is not just a story, right? There's so much in it. My Goosebumps is like, oh, that gave so much meaning and something to my life to take me to the next place.
I mean, inspiring for people to hear. I mean, what? You sang with one of the greatest of all time.
Greatest.
Just from being able to notice, like, oh, this is what she notices? Mm-hmm. This is what stands out at her show? And even doing her homework. When she comes on, she brings people up around this song.
Yep.
All the men do this. Well, let me do this over here. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, people out there, you guys got to pick up on it. Because right now, that's telling me is you need to go pick whatever favorite rapper, whatever favorite singer you got, buy a ticket to the show.
Yeah, or do something on social media. Create something that, like,
gets their attention.
But and in a generous way, right? Like,
yeah.
It can't all be this way. It's generous, or it's like, hey, I love that song. I'm going to do a remix of that song. Or, Kato, the producer, people are, he's opening up like, hey, get on my verse. Like, I love that. And he brings people up. He's recorded people that have done it.
Uh-huh.
You can create that for yourself. You can find what's out there, but you can also create something. One of my clients, Louis Futon, he started doing beats and stuff and doing remixes and creating new beats for artists he loves. And guess what happened? They started hiring him, working with him. But he made it happen first.
Yeah.
Right? And you can DM people. Again, like, don't harass people, but, like, let them see you. Let them start to know about you. Do something that is in your heart, right? And then brings you forward and gets their attention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how you create relationships in these days and ages.
So true.
That's how you create relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't want to move on until we touch on what you do for Regina and Mark.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What role do you play in their artistry?
Yeah, so Regina and I have been working together since everything after her first record. So, 17 years or so now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's been a beautiful journey with her. She's amazing. Primarily, it's all vocals with Regina. It's like really just getting her, expand her vocal, strengthen her vocal. And she's commented to me, and I know this is going to happen because I know as a coach this will happen, but to hear Regina Spektor say to me, oh, you changed my songwriting.
More validation.
It's just super, like, it's meaningful. It's humbling. It literally is the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Like, I have made an incredibly positive impact in your world. That's the meaning of life to me.
Yeah. And it made a big enough change for you to notice and acknowledge it.
Yeah. That's right. So when we're working vocals, what happens is, there's a particular octave of the voice, especially, that gets much stronger. So now your melody, and that's where melodies sit, right? That's where choruses and bridges sit. And you're like, oh, I can now write songs that take me into this part of my voice and be really powerful and effective. Oh, my song range just expanded, right? My melodies just got bigger. I have more variety I can write in. So that happened for Regina, and then getting her healthy for tour.
What does that entail? I don't want to cut you off, but what does that entail? Getting healthy
and of course,
for tour.
I will tell you. And then I have a meditation. I know she uses my meditation before going on shows. And I really encourage all artists to, because it helps you take all that noise and, like, quiet the noise and get focused on, this is what I'm here to do. And take, like, all your energy of the day, all your emotions, and channel them. Not try to ignore them. So, I got to go be, good now. No. We want to use them. So the meditation is there.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So with Regina, it's been primary, like, vocal training and getting her stronger. As an artist, like, if you listen to her first, second, third record, and you listen to her do the same songs now, you can hear they're more mature, and that has to do with her growth as an artist, touring, becoming a mom, right? Like she's powerful. And it's also more melodic because of what she can do vocally. So a lot of her signature, like, noises, the ooh, that kind of stuff, it's all still there. But it's just more musical now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm sorry, you asked me something else. I apologize.
Mark as well.
Oh, yeah, Mark.
Can't forget about him.
No, gosh, I love Mark Basie. So Mark and I started working when he had his band.
Okay.
2 a.m. Club. And he got signed. And Mark and I are a balance, like, of it's vocal, it's mental, emotional stuff, and it's been Compass. He's done a lot of he hasn't done Compass yet. Like, we're literally texting each other going, when can you take the next incubator? But a lot of the work I've done with him one-on-one is what's in Compass.
Okay.
And why I want him to take Compass is because of the impact it's had, right? So he's making a record right now called Funky Folk Hero.
Funky Folk Hero.
Mm-hmm. And when we started going into like his archetypes and what he stands for and who he is, that's what he found. And I'm sharing this only because he told me the record is going to be called Funky Folk Hero.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me.
Yeah. Well, because sometimes that stuff isn't what you share with the public. You just give it.
Give it to them.
Right? It goes into your artwork and it goes into your songwriting and it goes into your social media. It's what you're sharing, but you don't spell it out.
You just get it. They just get it.
That's right. But he was like, oh, no, I'm saying it because that's like that. When he put his finger on that pulse, that's what drove the album. That's what drove the songwriting. That's what like helped him like navigate where he wanted to go with the music. And some like artwork we talked about on his one of his tours, he had this like neon sign behind. It was like an image. It was like a face image with like an X. And I was asking him about it. I'm like, what? Tell me about that thing. And he's like, oh yeah, someone on my team came up with that. And he's like, I don't really like it. And I'm like, well, that's a problem. Right? Like everything on stage with you needs to be a representation of you. You need to love it. Right? Like more than anyone else, you need to love it.
Yeah, it's a representation of you.
Yeah. It's an expression of
your
you.
artistry, yeah.
That's right. So when we started talking about that, that's where shifts started happening and really going internal, right? And not thinking so much about, well, what does my audience want or what do they expect of me? But like, let me go internal to what I'm about, what matters to me and who I am. And when he started putting that out, that started shifting things.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
It's it's the most important thing, right? Like we are all influenced by everything all the time. So much, especially now, there's so much noise coming at you. And to be able to have a process. So a lot of artists just like don't even know the questions to ask themselves, right?
For sure.
I mean, we're human. Like,
I don't.
Right. And I have people I ask, right? Like we all need our mentors. We all need outside eyes. We all need, we all need something. Sometimes we just need like that accountability.
Yeah.
But so for me, all the things that I work with on artists it is about like, who am I? How do I bring that out in everything I'm doing? Like, oh man, one of Mark's singles, we talked very deeply about one of his influences. And we talked, I was like, that makes me think of the visuals. Go check out these visuals because this is what I remember from them. And that's what made an impact. Even like all this time later, I'm still remembering that, right? And when I saw the single, I went, he nailed it. It is not at all a derivative of the original, but it has the essence of things he loved about the original in a total Mark Basie stamp.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, yes. So I feel it, I see it, and you keep doing that. That's where your audience is like, I feel you, like I get it, right? Even you don't have to know what it is, but you resonate with the truth of that.
And that's how you keep a loyal audience.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but because now they're connecting with who you truly are. So no matter what happens with your music, they're going to grow with you.
That's right.
Instead of it being maybe something fabricated. And so now you're trying to change to the next trend, which is happening a lot nowadays.
For sure.
And then, you lose your audience quick down to the next artist.
Yeah. And even if it's not fabricated, which sometimes it is, right? Like you can see when an artist is chasing a trend.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just like your team giving you input and ideas because everyone's trying to help move things forward, right? Like, hey, we got a deadline, or hey, we got to do something for the t-shirts and the merch. What do you want, right? And very few artists have.
So there's people on the team doing, because a lot of people don't know this.
Yes.
There's people doing that for the artists on the team. Like, hey, we need this and this done.
100%. The bigger the artist, the bigger the team, right? Like Michael Jordan had what? Not only did he have like 5 coaches at all times, but those coaches had whole teams of people. There's rooms of people looking at stats and, right? There's like...
just for that one coach's role.
Yeah, there's so much. Like when you get... The bigger you get, the bigger the team, the more people interested in your success, right? Which is why the artist needs to stay so true to their heart of like, I want everyone to have success, but you have to define what that means.
Yeah. Don't let them tell you what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, success in a capitalistic world is money. Nothing wrong with that. Please, make money. Make money, take care of your family, take care of you.
Get rich, everybody, please.
Yeah, but if it's at the cost of your integrity, if it's at the cost of your mental health, like if it's at the cost of you just like, everyone's making money off of me, but I don't like what I'm doing, that isn't success. Right?
I love that.
Well, you're going to be burnt out. You're going to hate music. That's what happened to me. I hated my voice. I didn't like music. I'm like, how do I not love the thing I love the most? What happened? What went wrong? Which is what got me helping other people in a way that's very specific to me, right? This is my cornerstone of my philosophy. We got to get you on track with you. And then, like I said, for me, the process is like, it's just going to help you know how to check in with yourself again and again. Alicia Keys talked about it in her book, how choice by choice, she slowly lost herself.
Choice by choice, she slowly lost herself. That's worth a pause. Yeah, I got to think about that one. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the day.
That's right. So how do you check with yourself? Like when you're making a choice, like, is this my ego? Is this my desperation? Is this aligned with myself? Right? You want to have a full body yes to something where it's like, oh, I feel that. I believe in that. Like, I'll tell artists, here's the gig. Here's the choice you're going to make, right? The people you're going to work with, the money you'll make. And I would never put money first. I've talked to a lot of people. It's never the good experience when money is the first decision maker. But the people, the time you'll spend on it, the education you might get from it, the kind of music you'll be making, like weigh those heavier. And here's the opportunity you think is going to come out of it, right? Oh, I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to get connected. Whatever the thing is you think you're going to get out of it, take that away. It does not exist. You have no idea what's going to come of it. Right? I went to India to make a record. I never made the record. I made several other records with other people. I have a Grammy certificate and a song on a Grammy. I did not know that was coming. What did I say yes to? Yes to my vision, and then yes to working with that person, and then yes to working with that person. I pursued working with A.R. Rahman, and pursued him in an undesperate way.
Yeah. You allowed it to happen.
Yeah,
you made sure you were there.
That's right. I showed up again and again. So this thing itself, do you want to work with those people? Because if they're all jerks, but you think you're going to get some, I've been burned that way, right? The only person who'd never, I didn't say never, they ended up paying me half what they owed me. The only person that burned me financially was like a Grammy-winning guy.
What?
Yeah. And how grateful am I? Like on all my years of my career, like to not be burned. I mean,
yeah, I mean that's definitely
seriously fortunate.
Because that happens a lot in this industry.
Sure, but and for me at the time, I was like, oh, the lot could come out of this, right? And I liked the person until I started working with them, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is shady, or this is
didn't feel right.
Didn't feel right for sure. They were doing some stuff that wasn't. They were using people. Is what I saw. But here's the gig. Do you want to do the thing? Will you be in over your head? That's a really good, like, am I going to be so uncomfortable because I have to learn something new? You're going to be challenged. You do not succeed in your comfort zone.
Say that again.
You do not succeed in your comfort zone.
Hear that one.
And it's actually been proven at this point. So I'll share that data. You have to I said yes to being a music supervisor on a film. I love filmmaking. I'd never done it before. And the director's like, I want to woo you to do this. And my question was, tell me what you expect of me so I know that I can deliver excellence. And he told me we want to have original songs in the film. So we wrote, I think 9 original songs, and I co-produced them, brought in a producer to work with me. And we all co-wrote together with the director. And he said, I just want you. He's like, I want your hand in everything. Like, I want your hand in casting. And I was like, wow, first of all, beautiful. Like, he just wants me to bring all my skills. And he's open to listening to me. Phenomenal. And I said to him, I'm going to be in over my head. Like, I've never done this. And I like that. That means I'm going to have to rise to that. But I also know all the skills I have that I can bring with me. Yeah. Right? I'm not going to drown.
Yeah, I'm capable.
That's right. So you've got to get out of your comfort zone. And actually it is proven that in order for us to actually learn, for our brain to learn, to take in something, you have to be in discomfort.
Really? That's a proven thing?
That's a proven thing. You have to be, like, when you think about, like, when you were learning math and algebra and you're like, oh, my head, right?
Yeah.
Your brain is literally like, right? Like, you have to be in discomfort to grow. So here we are talking about the Parr method, and I've spent 2 years running, I spent years doing Blueprint, and then, okay, how do I turn it into an online course that's like really going to be valuable and, you know, big fat workbook. And like, I want people to get a lot. Well, I had to learn 5 new softwares. I've had to learn about
it's an online class. Yeah.
Yeah. And also just running a business itself. Like, oh, there's software to run the business. And now I have a team. I need ways to communicate with my team. And we need a software for that and team meetings. And and then you find out the software like, oh, okay, that's not good anymore. We got to do a new one.
Yeah.
I'm learning sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I love being the creative with all this vision. And if you saw my vision, my Miro boards with like how big my vision is, it's big. Okay, well, how do I take the small steps to get there? And how I need some mentors along the way to like talk to, because doing business is not new.
Yeah.
Right? But this business is new for me. How do I, you know, so when I say I was out of my comfort zone, I was banging my head against the wall with frustration at times. You know, Googling YouTube videos.
We all do that, though. We all do that.
But now we have YouTube videos, right? We're like, hey, how do I, there's a problem. How do I fix this? And you go, okay, and watch that. Let's see if you how to do it.
For sure.
Know? And then you hire some people, right? We were talking about teams. Eventually, as an artist, you're going to build a team. You are first going to be your own manager, which is good. Because when you hire a manager, you're going to know if they're doing their job or not, because you've done it all for yourself.
Exactly. I say that so many times to the people around me. Like, do not be afraid to know everything that goes into what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because then when you actually have to outsource, or if you're already outsourcing to other people, you'll know if, you know, they're not doing their job, or if they're not being efficient, if they're wasting time, or if you're not a priority to them because you can do it in this amount of time.
So true. So true.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. That's a big thing for me. That's definitely a big thing for me.
And a lot of times artists are always asking, like, how do I get a manager? I need a manager. Like, you will get a manager when they're knocking on your door.
Exactly.
Like you will know when you need them because you just can't handle everything anymore. And the buzz is out there, so people are showing up. Until then, you need to do everything. And again, you learn the business. The head of Universal Studios started as janitor. He learned every department.
What?
Again, he knows if people are doing their job. He's done them all.
That's insane. The head of Universal Studios started as the janitor.
Yeah, I mean, we have to Google that story fully, but yeah, like they did every job. They worked in all the departments, and they made sure they knew what everything was doing and how to do it, because for that reason, they want to know that they're
running the business right.
That's right.
That's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah.
So I want to, I always have 3 questions that I ask towards the end of my podcast.
Okay.
The very first one pertains completely to you. I want you to give them, again, I know you mentioned it multiple times during this podcast, but give them, where can they follow you? Where can they become a part of your courses? Where can they look into their classes? I don't know what exactly the details are. You're going to share them right now, but where can they get all this information?
Okay, so first is my website, wendyparr.com.
Okay.
And it's Wendy, WendyParr.com. Everything is there. Courses. There's a free mini course that you can get on a waiting list right now, and it's really a taste of Compass. So if you're like, I'm curious about that, there's a free mini course that you're actually going to get stuff from. It's not it's not just like, talk. You're going to get something from
it. It's impactful.
That's right. And all the courses are there. So, and they're numbered. Like it's Blueprint, it's Sound Chart, it's Voice Maps, it's Compass, it's Artist Circle. And everything's the Parr method. So, and my Instagram is Wendy Parr, and there's clicks and everything there. Join the Parr Pack. That's where everyone jumps in. That's where you're jumping into community. We've got a lot planned for this year. We're going to move platforms. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be a new platform where you can really talk to people, check in with people. We're going to be doing a lot more events that people can get to know one another. And like I said, Compass is the big baby, but you can take classes without me. Like you can just start and get going. And then you make your way to Compass. If someone feels ready for that, they're like, that's where I am in my career, you can apply for it.
Okay.
If you're like, hey, I'm making a record and I'm really not clear about my sound, or maybe you think you are. You're like, I know my sound, but hip-hop's a big word. That's like that's an ocean. Pop isn't 3 oceans, So how do we get to that place where you're like, oh, that's my sound? Timbaland and Missy Elliott came out with a sound. Right? So how do I find that? And that's what Sound Chart's for. You're in a place where you're like, hey, I'm singing, but I kind of get stuck in my own ways. And I'm like, I get married to the way I wrote the song. I have a hard time changing it. Or I'm trying to figure out how to make a cover or more my own voice. That's what Voice Maps is. Voice Maps is all vocal games, style games. Play those games. And like I said, Blueprint is where everyone starts, because that's about like really starting to believe in yourself with confidence. Listen to that inner voice, so that, again, as you're making choices, you know when you're pulling away from your integrity, you're pulling away from yourself, and you can bring it back.
Please make sure you guys tap in on her website. That just right now I learned. I mean, finding your sound, finding your voice, and before you do any of that, you're gonna find who you are. So you can be able to find your sound.
That's right.
You can be able to find your voice. And when you do get the buzz, when people start coming left and right saying do this and that, you ultimately know what's right for you.
That's right.
And that's what you're going to get from this program. So I want you guys to make sure you tap in with her. Please, please do. Please do.
And ask me questions. I answer DMs. I answer emails.
Oh, she just said it.
Ask me questions.
Go ahead. Ask her whatever question you got. Again.
And join the Parr Pack, because, again, that's where we're going to have a lot of, like, resources, Q&A. Like, I want people, like, my goal is in the next 5 years, the music industry looks really different and feels different. And people say, oh, that's the Parr method. Right, those two met at Compass, and that's why that album happened. And there's like a whole support system now. Like, the vibe is different. People are talking about like why they're lonely on tour. People are talking about how do you deal with like a team that's not working, and how do you lead your team as an artist. Like, people are having those conversations because we're having them.
Like the TED Talk of the music industry.
Or I think of it also as like the support group, right? Like because it's really about that. And so an artist is this, think of that like a wheel. They're the center of a wheel, and everyone on their team is at the end of a spoke. And everyone wants that wheel to move. Right?
Yep.
And everyone, except for me, like this is where like being an artist coach is really unique, because there's a lot of trust that we have, and we get very real and vulnerable. My whole career is not dependent on just that artist. And a team starts to be like, everyone has a little bit of an agenda, and it's not a bad thing. Like, this person wants to make your ticket sales are doing well. This person wants to make sure that's doing well.
They're doing their job.
They're doing their job, and they want you to succeed. But those aren't necessarily the people you could talk to about what you're going through as an artist, because they're not an artist.
Okay.
They're not in the creative. They're in the entrepreneurial business part. Or you might not feel like you can talk about it because, well, if I show that to them, they might not believe in me as much, and therefore they're not going to get that wheel moving, right? So, but this is the space where we can really talk to it, because everyone's going through it. There's all my years of coaching, and also I think social media has helped this, because I'm listening. You can listen to podcasts, you can watch YouTube. Like, there's so much more information. I don't believe there's a me problem anymore. Nobody has it's just me, I'm that way. Makes you feel small, right? Or other way around. No, that's me. I'm the best because of that, right? There is no me. I think everything is more bigger, and there's thousands and millions of people who have all experienced the thing you're experiencing. It's not a me issue. And when you start talking about it with each other, you're like, oh, that's not a me thing. That's a music industry thing.
Yeah, it's kind of empowering.
Super empowering. And you don't feel alone. And you're going to talk to people who've gone through it, who have insights to say, so this is how I dealt with that. Or I have someone you could talk to who can help you with that. Right? Because that's how, again, like, there's no you issue. There's like, oh, that's what happens in this industry right now.
Yeah.
Right? 20 years ago was another right now.
It's a whole different thing.
That's right.
A whole different game.
So we gotta, that's how I really started it, for that reason, so that people were not alone and could grow together and support each other and be resources and friends.
Yeah. And I think that's important, because most times in the music industry, it's all business, transactional relationships.
Transactional. And I'm not into transactions. I'm into like working with genuine people, like hanging with good people.
Let's be human beings.
Yeah.
So another question I have for you.
Yeah.
Because let me fix these. Because my audience is pretty young for the most part. A lot of them are just starting out what they're doing.
Cool.
And you definitely threw a lot at them. They're gonna have to watch this 5, 6, 7, 8 times to make sure they get all the game that you gave them. But I would ask, if there's one thing, like if you just know there's this artist in front of you, they're 17, 18, and you know they got it. They got it. But they're gonna leave, and they might not see you again.
Yeah.
What would be one piece of information that you would really want to stick with them throughout their career? If you know, like, you're one of them ones, you got it.
Trust yourself. Like, you're going to hear people tell you no a million times. You're going to hear people tell you you don't have it. You're going to hear people say no. Like, and that could just be because the person you're in front of loves a particular kind of thing, and you just haven't gotten in front of the person that loves your thing. So trust yourself, stay in, and adjust. You've got to constantly, like, adjust. Which, what I mean by that is, have discipline to keep doing the work. And you can do the same work and basically just spend 5 years doing the same thing. Or you can check in, assess, make adjustments, check in, assess, and that's how you actually grow. So when someone just says no to you, I know there's a lot. This answer's a lot. It's not just, but it's really about trusting yourself, and it's about doing the work. That's what the bottom line comes. Trust yourself, your vision, and do the work. If you heard from 3 people the same thing, there has to be truth in it, right?
Okay.
Just on a basic way, if people are like, hey, your songwriting needs some work, and say, oh, no, I'm the best. If you heard that 3 times, there has to be truth. Ask the question, or ask them, like, what do I need to work on? What is it? Or go do some research. Like, this is where the assessment is. Like, I've got to reassess. Like, okay, people are saying that. What does that mean?
Yeah.
If people keep telling you, oh, you remind me of this other artist, instead of going, no, I'm different, I'm unique. Wait, why are people saying that? First, ask why.
Yeah.
What is it? And then go research that artist, and everything that you are like them, make it bigger.
Yeah.
Right? Because we all share the same stardust. So it's like, take the information you're getting and, like, assess it, like, look at it, and then make adjustments. And that's life. Like, when people are like, there are no mistakes, there aren't. What do? We take an action, we assess, we adjust, we take another action. Repeat over and over for the rest of your life. The part a lot of people miss is the assessment, right? And the choices you make to adjust can be kind of, that's where the issue is, where you're not listening to yourself. You're like, oh, they said do this, I'll go do that.
Yeah.
Or I think that'll be successful if I do it, I'll just do that. But if you go and you check with yourself, like let me look inside again. What do they mean by that? What's working for me? Why isn't it working? What is it? Then you adjust. There are no mistakes. You just keep getting to grow.
Just keep getting better and better.
Yeah. So trust yourself and then do the work.
I love that.
Yeah.
Trust yourself and do the work.
Yeah.
Now, I did have one more question for you, but I think you kind of touched on it.
Okay.
I'm still going to ask it, though. Okay. It was more about, the artist team. I know you did touch on a little bit with the Compass and creating that network. But when it does for artists who is getting a little bit of buzz, they got some people coming to them, hey, let me be your manager. Hey, let me be, like, I'm an A&R over here. Hey, I got, I'm tour manager over here, whatever it may be. And again, I know you touched on it, but what is a good deciding factor when it comes to choosing these people?
So number one, trust your gut. Like, if you have a red flag, bad feeling about someone, but they're the biggest, the hottest, giving you the best deal, but your gut's going, there's something off, trust that. And again, then I would say do some research. Like, what used to happen, and I can't say it doesn't happen anymore, but it does. It just happens a little differently. Let's say a label had Madonna as an artist. Their number one artist, biggest seller, right? She's making money for the whole label. If someone was coming up that was similar to Madonna, the same label would sign them and then stick them on a shelf. Yes. So they wouldn't have competition up for Madonna.
Wow.
This happened a lot.
That's game.
Yes. It still happens. It still happens. And I'm not saying this to make you scared. I'm saying, like, this is about the research part, where it still happens where, in this way, like, a lot of times if someone's getting signed, let's say, and someone's done well on TikTok for themselves, but then maybe that team, like, starts to get another artist is taken off, so they're not getting as much attention, they're sitting around, right? Like, whereas if they went off and did it for themselves again, they could do it again.
They could push it.
Right? So, and most every artist at some point has a bad deal. Everyone signs a bad deal. It's part of, that's why you have an attorney look things over. Do some research on that. Like, who's offering me that deal? Who else do they represent? Do I fit in that family? Have they had success with people that are similar to me? Because then they have relationships down your lane of music. Do I like their vibe? Like, you're going to be married to that person, basically. And some people are going to be like with you for a minute. Some people are going to be with you a long time. So is also don't be afraid to change when you need to. I think also before you like necessarily sign is you should have a temporary period with somebody. Like, hey, let's try this out for 3 to 6 months.
I like that.
And see how we're feeling together. Because both of us should be able to say, yes, this is working, or no, it's not.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that a lot.
That's really important. If anyone's so, like, again, unless you're to the place where, like, oh, the buzz, everyone wants to sign me. But, again, Team Sesh Bones. These are some friends of mine. Bones, every label wants them. Wanted them, wants them. They don't need them. They've done it on their own. So if you're also at a place where everyone wants you, it might not be that you need to sign, but maybe you're partnering.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, ooh, I want a deal where I'm bringing this to the table, and I know I am. What are you bringing to the table that you're not just taking?
You got enough leverage.
Yeah. And again, this is all like some of the biggest artists I'm going to put in quotes, have had bad deals. They still have had made very successful careers. In which case they might say, so why was it so bad? Because look where I still went after that.
Yeah, it
right?
opened the door to so many things.
That's exactly right. You know, so, but I think that like doing research is really important. Trusting your gut is always number one. Checking that person out. Like, go do some research. It's so easy online. Ask some people who might know him. Like, you definitely know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
So ask about that person. You know, I had someone wanting to do business with me, and I took a few steps with them. And I was vetting them, but I wasn't getting answers. Meanwhile, I took a few steps. And then I got an answer for someone who's like, oh, stay away. Stay far, far, far away. And I was like, yeah, I kind of got burned a little. Not too bad because I didn't invest a lot of time. But I was like, if I had waited patiently for that message before I took 3 steps,
yeah,
right, much better. So you got to do some vetting. That's really important.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot too. Yeah. Ask your friends.
Yeah.
Ask your friends, who are these people?
Yeah, you look on Instagram, you look on LinkedIn, you can see your mutual friends.
Yeah.
So it's like, ask some questions. Like, is this person cool?
Yeah.
That's how my wife and I are together.
Magic happening still.
Yeah, she literally asked her friend, was like, hey, do you know Wendy Parr? Because I'm considering going on a date. Is she cool? And they're like, yeah, she's cool. And that's what made her say yes to the first date.
And now look.
Like just a little vetting.
Yeah, just gotta see. Just gotta see.
So
but
it's just that's important. And you know, even like I said for myself, I have anybody if you're listening right now, you've got dedication, right? If you're putting the work in, you've got dedication.
For sure.
You've got a fire in you going, I feel this calling, right? So just knowing that, it's like you're doing the work, you're showing up. And then it's like having patience, because you might see the big, like, I want to be that big. And you've got to see it to get yourself there. But we also have to take steps to get there.
Yeah.
Because I've known people who see the big vision, but then they think they're too good to take, I'm too good for that. I'm too good for that. And then they miss the steps that will get them there.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So like saying yes to things and having fun along the way and keeping your other job until the money's coming in from your music, like, respect for that. And that's
gotta
also
do it.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
That's also a choice. You know, sometimes people, like, you keep the other job that's not in music, or maybe it is in music, but it's not where you want to be in music, while you're doing this until it gets bigger, right? And sometimes there's a place where you're like, okay, now's the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes that now's the time can like be the fire to make you hustle, right? I did that with my coaching.
Because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm going to put all my energy into this for it to succeed.
Yeah.
But other times people drop that and then they just take any old gig to make money, and then they don't have a career they actually want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important, is like that trusting yourself, finding that right timing, and then because having this job allows you to make the choices that align with you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I have, because people often ask me like, how do I make money so I don't have to do this? I'm like, full respect for having this, you know.
You gotta provide for yourself. You gotta be able to do
the
the things
world
that
we
you
live
need
in.
to do.
That's not a you problem. That's a capitalistic problem in the world we live in, where everything costs so much money.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
it does take a village. We need more villages.
Yeah, definitely need to be more of a community sense, which I'm trying to do at YOTTATALK, and I'm so glad that I learned that you are also doing that with Compass and the Artist Circle.
Yeah, thank you.
And creating a network of artists and just people in the music industry in general.
Definitely.
To be able to support one another.
Come check out the Parr Method. Come be a part of the Parr Method. All genuine creatives are welcome.
So, Wendy, again, I appreciate all the game that you gave the audience, and not just the audience, you gave me.
Oh, I'm so glad. This is
as a young person trying to figure this out, I learned so much today. So I appreciate you. I know my audience will appreciate you. And YOTTATALK, as always, thank you guys for all the support that you've been giving the platform. Follow us, like this video, subscribe, share your favorite clip of what Wendy said. There was so much game, so many gems. Share it to your friends. Everybody watching this has a friend making music or something that is involved with music. So send it to them, help them out. DM her with some questions. She opened it up to y'all. So DM her with some questions. Take advantage. But again, I appreciate your time. You guys, I appreciate all the support. And we will be back in 2 weeks for another episode. Peace.
I've been through so much, I don't wanna talk about it. If this beef chop a spark about it, think it's sweet to your heart pounding. Really street, keep a Glock around me. That AK2 burnt 4-5.